And so I'm here to present to you this paper on a synthesis of semi-automated driving rules. Driving is more than safety. It's also a lot of societal expectations or regulatory and cultural expectations of how you drive. So, for example, if you're driving, let's say, from LA to Albuquerque, the driving limit changes depending on where you are. When you're in California, it goes in 55 miles per hour. When you go to Arizona, to Arizona, it changes to 65 miles per hour. And when you reach New Mexico, it can change to 75 miles per hour. So how can we get these rules in an automatic way so that the vehicles can interpret them? Another example here is that, for example, in California, when you reach a red arrow, you cannot turn right. However, if you are in the state of Washington, if you reach a red arrow, you must stop, but you can make the right turn if you deem it safe. So how can we automatically find and encode these regional driving rules? The answer is the driving manuals that each state has. These manuals give us really useful information on recommendations on how to drive, some guidelines, and some recommendations in the use of special equipment or special vehicles. So how do we translate these rules to a formal language that a machine can process? Well, we take the PDF file that has the driving manual, we extract the text, and finally we encode it in RDF language. The framework to our extraction basically follows 4 steps. In the first one, it's the data gathering step, where we get the manuals from each DMV page, and we skim through them and selecting the most relevant parts that we're going to process. In the extraction part, we parse the text, extracting and pre-processing the text and extracting the tokens to create the rules that would output the rule in both the RDF language and the natural language. And then we do some refinement, some validation, that's refinement, and try to make sure that the rules make sense, and some analysis. So our first step in data gathering, we selected the 15 most populous states in the US, but we also wanted to try the flexibility of our software, and we decided to try it in Australia. We tried in Australia because they drive in the opposite side of the road. They use the metric system, and they also have different signs, different driving signals. As you can see, some of the territories are in red. These are the ones that we were not able to extract the rules from. So why were we not able to extract these rules? So some of these manuals have some issues. For example, some were blocked for us to scrap. We were not able to extract the text from the manual. Others, we had problems with how the text was formatting. For example, if the manual was in portrait mode, our extractor was not able to read it properly. And something similar happened when the manual was full with a lot of figures or diagrams and had more than 2 columns. So in these cases, we have examples of North Carolina, Illinois, Michigan, and Georgia. Also, we had some problems with the rules themselves. Although we skimmed the manuals, some of the rules lacked some relevancy and were applied to subjects that we didn't intend to. Like, for example, some rules were applied to pedestrians or bicycles. And we had some problems when the structured rules, they had spelling mistakes because of page jumps or dashes. So how does the rule extraction process work? We process each sentence individually, and we look for certain keywords, such as if, then, and because. To then we separate the sentence into two phrases, the if phrase and the then phrase. This allow us to start the triple structure generation. Then we search for certain conjunctions such as and, that, not, or, in order to generate the different clauses. And finally, using a part of speech tagger, we can generate the rule using the structure subject verb objects. So our results, we found we extracted 67 rules in an automatic way, and about 212 needed some small refinement. Some examples of the refinement, as you can see, that rule from the plain text that if you must exit and you miss your exit, you must take the next one. Our rule is missing the next word that is crucial in the object part of the rule, so we have to add it. And similarly, it happened with the second rule, that instead of driver, it was entering. So this was the kind of little mistakes that we found in some of the rules that we needed to manually correct. These rules can identify conditions that AVs can identify and must react to. For example, this rule regarding a dust storm. Knowing this rule, an AV can react giving some weather reports and adjust its behavior to drive properly, or, for example, turn on the headlights, or if the dust storm is too dense, to stop the driving altogether and go in the shoulder of the road. Similar cases can happen with the risk of having a trailer. If the vehicle knows it's having a trailer, it can know that it has the risk of jackknifing, and so it must drive at a lower speed limit and be careful of doing sudden movements. Also, when it knows that another vehicle has a trailer, it can drive properly from a safe distance. So our contribution are more than 200 rules that we managed to extract. And for future work, we want to improve the extraction process to get the most important and mandatory rules. We want to identify more deviations from each state. And we want to structure some selected rules in formal temporal logic and use it in Carla, and be able to assure compliance. So that's the repo where you can see the rules if you are interested, and thank you very much.